Good Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this Tuesday with a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you'll be part of my conversation with actress and author Diane Franklin. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Tuesday headlines. In national news, Fauci to step down after decades as top U.S. infection expert. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, who became a household name and the subject of partisan attacks during the COVID-19 pandemic, announced on Monday he will leave the federal government in December after more than 5 decades. Fauci directs the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, is chief medical advisor to President Joe Biden, and also leads a lab studying the immune system. While the COVID-19 pandemic introduced him to millions of Americans, he's given straight talk to the nation about numerous outbreaks, including HIV/AIDS, SARS, pandemic flu, Ebola, and the 2001 anthrax attacks. I've gone into this campus and into the labs, into the hospital every day, including most weekends, for 54 years. The idea of walking away from it is obviously bittersweet, Fauci told the Associated Press on Monday. In announcing his departure, the 81-year-old Fauci calls his roles the honor of a lifetime, but said it was time to pursue the next chapter of my career. Known for his candor and for the ability to translate complex medical information into everyday language, Fauci has been a key advisor to 7 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. Fauci became the face of the government response to COVID-19 as it hit in early 2020, with frequent appearances on television news and at daily press conferences with White House officials, including then-President Donald Trump. But as the pandemic deepened, Fauci fell out of favor with Trump when his urgings of continued public caution clashed with the former president's desire to return to normalcy and to promote unproven treatments for the virus. Fauci found himself marginalized by the Trump administration, but he continued to speak out publicly in media interviews, advocating social distancing and masks in public settings before the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine. When Biden won the White House, he asked Fauci to stay on in his administration in an elevated capacity. I've been able to call him at any hour of the day for his advice, Biden said in a statement Monday. Whether you've met him in person or not, he has touched all Americans' lives with his work. I extend my deepest thanks for his public service. The United States of America is stronger, more resilient, and healthier because of him. In more national news, 3 Arkansas officers suspended after video captures beating. 3 Arkansas law enforcement officers were suspended, and state police launched an investigation after a video posted on social media showed 2 of them beating a suspect while a 3rd officer held him on the ground. The officers were responding to a report of a man making threats outside a convenience store Sunday in the small town of Mulberry, about 140 miles northwest of Little Rock, near the border of Oklahoma, authorities said. The video shows one officer punching the suspect with a clenched fist, while another can be seen hitting the man with his knee. The 3rd officer holds him against the pavement. In video recorded from a car nearby, someone yells at officers to stop hitting the man in the head. 2 of the officers appear to look up and say something back to the person who yelled. The officer's comments could not be heard clearly on the video. Arkansas State Police said the agency would investigate the use of force. In entertainment news, Lopez and Affleck celebrate marriage with friends and family. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck said "I do" again over the weekend. But instead of in a late-night Las Vegas drive-through chapel, this time it was in front of family and friends in Georgia. A person close to the couple, who was not authorized to speak publicly, said to the Associated Press. According to People magazine, the wedding was held at Affleck's home outside of Savannah, Georgia, with all of his kids present for the proceedings on Saturday. The celebrity couple were officially married last month in Las Vegas, which Lopez shared with fans in her On the J-Lo newsletter. In business news, Stetler says CNN must hold media accountable as show ends. Reliable Sources host Brian-Stetler insisted Sunday that he'll still be rooting for CNN even after his show was canceled this week, but stressed that it was important for the network and others to hold the media accountable. CNN gave Stetler the chance to host a final episode of the 30-year Sunday morning program on the media, even after it was learned this week that he and the show would be exiting, a gesture that's relatively rare in television. Stetler said it was not partisan to stand up for decency, democracy, and dialogue. And finally, in more business news, stocks fall broadly in afternoon trading on Wall Street Monday. Stocks fell broadly in afternoon trading on Wall Street Monday, extending the market's losses amid worries about inflation and the path ahead for the economy. The S&P 500 fell 2%, and more than 90% of stocks in the benchmark index posted losses. It finished in the red last week, breaking a 4-week winning streak. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 649 points, or 1.9%, and the Nasdaq fell 2.5%. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's on time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Tuesday's episode of Words I Choose to Live By. Your past, no matter how painful or embarrassing it might be, can only continue to hurt you if you allow yourself to still live there. It's time to let it go. Today is an opportunity to use your experiences as stepping stones for the life you want for yourself. Make a decision to look ahead instead of behind you. That is the only way you can truly enjoy what is to come. Have an amazing Tuesday. Diane Franklin is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight. We're here on Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with Entertainment Spotlight. Actress and author Diane Franklin joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about her extraordinary career. Here's a bit of our conversation.
It's not very often that I get to speak to individuals who kind of have become a part of projects. You know, when you hear movies like Better Off Dead, or even, of course, Last American Virgin, you know, there's that audience that has followed this and stayed connected with it, still can be able to quote lines. You've been able to be a part of that experience. So what has that been like for you to be able to have been a part of the film, but also to see the rewards that's come throughout the years?
I feel very fortunate, very lucky that I was in a generation of the 80s where my films are so upbeat and in a way like just helping the world. I mean, it's the 80s is a very upbeat decade, and the films that I was in was, I think, were exemplified of that. So I loved being in the films I was in. I was very fortunate. I started acting at an age of 10. I love acting. It was all my thing. If you're interested, I have 3 books. And my first book I wrote was basically, how does the person come from like the suburbs, doesn't know anyone in the entertainment business, how do they become an actor? So I wrote my first book, Diane Franklin, The Excellent Adventures of the Last American French Exchange Babe of the 80s. And the reason why I made such a long title is I didn't anticipate that people would know who I was. And also I thought, it's kind of it'll put a smile on people's face when you say it. And then my second book, I focused on Last American Virgin, but I actually was the first actress to bring curly hair into the curly hair to be a beautiful thing. I played the dream girl in Last American Virgin, and up until that point, most actresses in America had like blonde hair as like you could associate it, and so I had more of like an ethnic beauty.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversation Daily News. Prepare to get on tomorrow with more news, message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversation Daily News today, and let's go make it a great one.